Chairperson of the National House of Traditional Leaders and Khoi-San leaders, Kgosi Thabo Milton Sinhlolo Apula. Deputy Chairperson of the National House of Traditional and Khoi-San leaders, Kgosi Mavusola, as well to me. Amakhosi present, members of the House, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a privilege and honor to address the august National House of Traditional and Khoi-San leaders. It also humbles me to address the issue of landlessness with you, as landlessness breeds poverty, unemployment, and inequality. This triple challenge has ravaged this country through successive colonial and apartheid regimes that enacted repressive legislations to support dispossession of land from indigenous citizens of this country. It is therefore critical to continue with our efforts to address landlessness in our country and ensure that dreams of our leaders, like Chief David Stolman, Inza, and Sekukuni, to name a few, are fulfilled. Black people in the main remain landless, and where they have access to land, their tenure rights are generally insecure. This is despite having adopted the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, Act 108 of 1996, which explicitly provides for redress of the injustices of the past. It is imperative that we fully utilize Section 25 of the Constitution, which provides three important components of land reform, namely land redistribution, land tenure, and land restitution, to ensure that land is restored. In this term, we are pushing for accelerated land and agrarian reform, especially in communal and rural communities, where the brunt of overcrowding, underdevelopment, marginal land, lack of resources, landlessness, and land hunger is experienced the most. Chairperson, we note that policies and legislation enacted since 1994 have gone a long way towards reversing the damage caused by centuries of colonialism and apartheid. However, more still needs to be done to create an equal society that is prosperous. It is important to use the Constitution as an instrument and enabler to achieve our objectives. The Constitution coerces the state to take reasonable legislative and other measures within its available resources to foster conditions which enable citizens to gain access to land on an equal basis. The same Constitution further guarantees everyone tenure of security by ensuring that a person or community whose tenure of land is legally insecure as the result of past racial discriminatory laws or practices is entitled to the extent provided by Act of Parliament, either to tenure which is legally secure or comparable redress. Chairperson, it is on these provisions that I will reflect on the work that the department will execute during this term of office. I have been briefed that there was a communal land tenure and administration summit that was convened during the 6th administration. The summit outcomes were approved by Cabinet in March 2024, and the processing and implementation of these outcomes has begun. As an example, in order to divest the land of the no less than 17 million hectares that it holds on behalf of the traditional leaders and their communities, we have concluded two important draft documents for consultation. The consultation will begin in this house that we lead. The documents under consultation will be the Communal Land Tenure Policy and Communal Land Tenure Bill. It is our assertion that the state, through this process, will return the land in its possession to its rightful owners. The other area of importance is the 87% of the land question, which in various platforms with traditional leaders has been very topical. while the land restitution program has settled a total of 83,205 land claims, including land restoration and financial compensation. There still remains 5,759 claims, old order claims that need to be settled. We devised a backlog reduction strategy to address the outstanding old order claims. Furthermore, there are new order claims which have not been processed due to the ruling of the Constitutional Court, and these will be attended to once the old order claims are finalized. It is also important as leaders to note that the Restitution of Land Rights Act, as part of restorative justice, also offers the claimants also an option of financial compensation. Some communities have taken this option, and it is important to realize this in our conversation, as such an option does not translate into restoration on land and will not reflect in the changing patterns of land ownership. In fast-tracking land reform, we are also awaiting a decision on the expropriation bill that has been processed through Parliament to explore ways of accelerating land reform. Chairperson, we are still confronted with challenges where vast tracts of restored land lies underutilized by communities. Some even being utilized by former owners to the detriment of these communities. We will continue in terms of restitution of land rights acts to provide development support for restituted land. Together with the Department of Agriculture and the provincial departments, we will provide funding and agricultural support for agricultural activities on land under traditional leadership. In the settlement of land claims to date, where land restoration has been chosen, trusts and communal property associations have been preferred as land holding entities for some communities. Some of these entities have been riddled with conflicts and infighting, failure to comply to founding legislation, inadequate governance, management, administration, knowledge, and inadequate financial support for business initiatives. Some of these have seen disagreements with the traditional leaders, and in this administration, we will address the review of the communal property associations. We will address the review of the Communal Property Association Act to address legislative gaps identified. We appeal for the participation of the traditional leaders in this consultation process to ensure that land that is restored benefits the communities and provides jobs, food security, and economic growth. In the transition, we will continue to train CPA executives on governance to ensure stability. Chairperson, we also recognize the plight of our communities who were living under the former colored areas under the past oppressive regimes. Through the Transformation of Certain Rural Areas Act, we will continue to transfer land to these communities in title. In terms of commercial farms, we will also fast-track the program of issuing title deeds to farmers through our land redistribution program. This program is critical towards redefining land ownership patterns in the country and will further improve available funding options for the farmers. I'm reflecting on this because some of these farmers are from rural communities under our leadership. It is important that we use land redistribution to alleviate pressure due to agricultural requirements in communal areas. We will also use the program of land redistribution to address landlessness for those traditional leaders with no land. The issue of pluma has been a common denominator in discussions between government and traditional leaders. I have noted that the National House has requested further consultation on the pluma amendments before the commencement of the amending of the Act. We are hopeful of the very robust but progressive deliberations in this regard. Chairperson, we have also started with the land planning program for areas under traditional leadership. This program is meant to identify the needs and provide for the relevant spatial planning tools to provide sufficient planning information and guidance in these areas. Today, we have had a multiplicity of stakeholders and partners, including Kokta, Mesa, Salga, district and local municipalities. To date, the land planning program has been launched in selected traditional council areas in the Eastern Cape: Free State, Gauteng, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northwest and Northern Cape. This program is aligned with the objectives of Invest Rural program, and the two programs are complementary. Chairperson, we are committed to work with the Invest Rural program on the issues of rural development. We will continue rural infrastructure in support of farming communities in areas under traditional leadership. We have delivered rural infrastructure projects in various villages in the 9 provinces, including mechanization centers, upgrading of roads and stormwater, hydroponic tunnels, irrigation schemes, sanitation, preschool, community hall, amongst others. In this administration, we will follow the same model and also construct and rehabilitate farmer production support units, animal handling facilities, animal clinics, dipping tanks, boreholes, fencing, upgrading and paving of gravel roads, college access roads, construction of off-wheel bridge, pedestrian bridge, abattoirs, tractors, sheds, and other rural infrastructure as identified in the needs analysis. Youth development remains important for South Africa to enjoy the demographic dividend that our youth can potentially provide to our economy. We need to have the youth actively participating, and it was with great excitement to note that 10 traditional councils from 6 provinces, namely Eastern Cape, OR Tambo Traditional House and Khoi-San Traditional House, Free State, Wakwena Royal Council, Limpopo, Batao, Wasiwane Traditional Council, Zanani Traditional Council Authority, Malibisa Traditional Council, and Sileka Traditional Council. Mpumalanga, Lambo Traditional Authority, Northwest, Baha Fera Traditional Authority, and Northern Cape, Baha Bareni Traditional Authority have made pieces of land available for 171 NARISEC graduates to run their own agricultural enterprises in grain and tea production, fruit and vegetables production, mixed farming, poultry, cotton production and honey processing, and production amongst many others. This is commendable, and availing communities for our NARISEC program will work with the traditional leaders to ensure that we have a maximum coverage. The empowerment of women in rural communities is also a focus area. We will continue as a department with gender-sensitive budgeting and ensuring that gender-responsive policies such as the beneficiary selection and land allocation policy are implemented to the core. It is our belief that in order for us to curb rural-urban migration, we'll have to create opportunities within the rural space, to retain people in their areas, and to ensure that the rural areas are vibrant and contribute to the economy of our country. In conclusion, Chairperson, we'll explore further other legislative means that can ensure transfer of land to the traditional leaders and their communities, whilst we are also fast-tracking the cabinet approval of the communal tenure bill for consultation. We will also finalize the consultation of the amendment of the SPLUMA and equally finalize the regulations. The process of the approval of development and long-term commercial will be expedited with shorter turnaround times. We will continue with our rural development informed by the rural development strategy, and communal areas will receive our priority. The planning unity will work with traditional leaders in developing spatial planning to ensure sustainable development. Our engagement with the National House of Traditional Leaders will be enhanced because traditional institution is very critical in the implementation of our programs. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Minister, you may take a seat.